In this episode of Discovering the Last Frontier, I head from Minnesota to Washington to pick up a boat outside of Seattle, then head north to Alaska. This is a trip I have made multiple times in the past, and one I swore I would never do again. Well, here I am doing it again. See if I actually make it this time without blowing up an engine, getting the transmission stuck in fourth gear, or replacing multiple components on the side of the road to limp my load home. It is the end of March 2024, and I've got the truck loaded up. I'm here in Moose Lake, Minnesota, headed up to Alaska. I'm going to be driving on the load today. I have two four-wheelers. These are destined for Kodiak Island for our project out there, as well as hunting this fall. And then I got a little U-Haul that's full of gear for Bear Cove as well as Kodiak. So plan is to spend 2 days driving over to Seattle, get to Seattle, pick up a boat that we're going to leave at Kodiak. At that point, I'll transfer everything out of this U-Haul into the boat, and then I'll ditch the U-Haul. This fridge didn't make the trip. Then I'll ditch the U-Haul. And there's Roxanne. She's packing up the last of the boxes. So it's going to be about 1,600 miles over to Seattle. And then from Seattle, I think I'm looking at around 2,400 miles up to Homer. So this trip's going to take about 6 days. But I'll be covering a good chunk of the Alaskahighway Highway as well as the Alaskan Highway, and I'm planning on getting as much footage as I can of the trip so that you have an idea of what that looks like. So, hopefully the trip goes well. I'm about an hour into my journey. Left Moose Lake around 9:45 a.m. and just west of Brainerd, Minnesota. Everything seems to be going okay so far. The U-Haul trailer's pulling fine. Four-wheelers look stable. I'll probably get another hour into it. I'll pull over, check straps, make sure that everything's buttoned up well. Still making progress towards Billings, Montana, my first stop, day one. I've entered North Dakota. So far, so good. Roads are in really good shape. No snow. So, yeah, overall, things are going well. Load seems to be pulling well. And no issues. Gonna fuel up here soon and try to get through it as quickly as possible. So day one in the books, I made it from Moose Lake, Minnesota, out to Billings, Montana. Had to do a little work this morning. It's Easter morning for a client, so I put 3 hours in, and I'm back on the road. Day two, planning on getting from Billings, Montana to Everett, Washington to pick up the boat for Kodiak Island. Okay, I'm here in Everett, Washington. I've loaded up the boat, so transferred everything from the U-Haul trailer up into the boat. I've got the boat hooked up. I've got the wheelers on the back, and I am loaded and ready to go. At this point, I am just waiting for the wire transfer to go through so I can hit the road. Plan is to go from Everett, Washington to Chilliwack, British Columbia. So basically get across the border, get an hour into BC, and then take a break and start the day early tomorrow. Okay, so I made it from Everett, Washington, all the way to Bellingham. Not very far. I had a brake caliper lock up on the truck, and I was in stop and go traffic with the boat, with the four-wheelers, and anyways, it brakes overheated, one caliper locked up, and so I pulled over for the night I'm now in a Les Schwab. They checked it out, and they're going to be able to put new brake calipers and pads on the truck. And then I'm also going to add airbags to the rear to help with the suspension back there, knowing that I got some pretty tough roads to go through, especially up on the Alcan where the permafrost heaves are out of this world. Anyways, so I'm getting about $3,700 worth of work done, and hopefully I'll be back on the road by the end of the day. So a bit of a detour, but I think this is for the best to get this done now, and I'll keep you updated as the day progresses. Well, it's been 6.5 hours and the Ford is still on the rack. You can see it in the background. They've got the brake calipers complete. They've got the shocks in the front changed out, and they're putting the airbags in on the rear. So they're hoping to have her done within the next couple of hours, but while I wait, I'm going to get something to eat. So progress continues. Hopefully I make it across the border today. Okay, 1.5 days later, truck is ready to roll. Airbags are installed. The calipers are installed, rotors, new brake pads, shocks in the front. So we're looking good. I'll give you a quick idea of what was done for work. So you can see the new shiny calipers back there, and you can see the air pads, or the airbags, between the axle and the frame. Sweet. On my way. I'm just outside of Yale, British Columbia. The mountains are spectacular. The road follows the river. Absolutely beautiful. Headed north towards Prince George. So far for wildlife, I've only seen one mule deer. Nothing else yet, but I anticipate as I get further north, I'll start seeing more and more wildlife. But I'll just give you a shot of the surroundings here so you get an idea of how beautiful this portion of the drive is in, I guess it would be central British Columbia. Well, I'm in Hazelton, British Columbia. It's a really beautiful area. You can see the mountains in the background. Making okay progress. I had to stop last night. I was getting to a point where I was going to be several hundred miles away from the next hotel if I went through Hazelton, and I had some conference calls I had to hit up this morning. So anyways, had to call it quits a little bit early. Plan today, get as close to Whitehorse as possible and take it from there. So I'm anticipating seeing some wildlife today. Up to this point, I've seen 17 mule deer / whitetails, so it's been pretty limited, but I've been traveling middle of the day when the traffic's at its most, and I'm going to be going into much more remote areas starting now. So I anticipate that as I get towards evening, more animals will come out, and I'll be able to start documenting those. So we'll catch up with you a little bit later today. Okay, I just went through Kitwanga, BC. I believe it's Kitwanda. Anyways, I'm sort of getting into the back roads now. This is a pretty remote stretch of road. Not many opportunities for fuel, so I've got the tank full, and I've got 10 gallons in cans in the back of the truck. So I'm going to make my way up the highway here. In the past, when I've gone through this stretch, I've seen a lot of wildlife. In particular, in June, I passed through one time with Ryan, and he and I came through here, and we saw, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 22, 24 black bear, all within close proximity of the road. It was early in the year. They were looking for grass and things to eat on south-facing slopes, so they were pretty abundant at that time. A lot of sows with cubs, etc. I won't see any of those now. It's April, and a little bit too early. I'm sure they're still in hibernation. But hopefully along the way here, we'll catch some good views of wildlife as we make progress. Okay, I'm in Watson Lake in the Yukon. Made it here late last night. Unfortunately, I also picked up a cold at some point yesterday. So I'm not feeling the greatest today, but news is I'll be on the road all day, so a lot of activity. One interesting attraction here in Watson Lake, which is kind of at the intersection of the Cassiar and the Alaskan Highway or Alaskan Highway, is what is known as Signpost Forest. So literally, I drove by, kind of the outer edge of it and got a little bit of a view of it, but you're probably only seeing like 10% of the signs. There are so many signs. So if you're an administrator for a municipality, a city, a county, a borough, a parish, a province, a state, I suggest if you're missing any signs, come here. You'll probably find one. I've probably recognized at least 15 cities just driving by slowly. So check out the video, try to locate your sign, contact the appropriate folks here at the Signpost Forest. They can probably help you out, get your sign back. Okay, somewhat common occurrence here in those trips is parts break. So this is the front bracket for the boat trailer. Oh, I'm under here, both sides snapped off. I saw this guy get loose as I was walking by, and sure enough, that snapped right off. So these guys don't look like they're going anywhere, but I gotta get some padding in there, so that's what I'm gonna do now. Okay, I am between Haines Junction and Beaver Creek, which is at the border with Alaska. So Beaver Creek is in the Yukon, right at the Alaskan border. It's weird. Border is it's like 18 to 20 miles wide there. So you will go by the Canadian Border Patrol on our left, and then we'll travel somewhere between 18 and 20 miles, basically all through swamp before we'd see the U.S. Border Patrol. So very wide border in terms of how they patrolled. I suspect the actual border is somewhere in between, but it's pretty tough territory. It's a lot of swamp and the like. The road's getting progressively worse. It is bumpy. The permafrost over the past decade or more has been melting, yes. But it gets warmer, and it's creating crazy heaves. So try to catch some of that here as I go, but it's sort of like I gotta really watch everything, putting the load back there. We've already broken part of the supports on the front of the boat trailer, and got some temporary stuff in place there. But just gotta hope nothing else fails. Small truck or trailer as we navigate this really rough stretch. Right now on 98 miles from the Canadian side, the Border Patrol, it's the other 18 to 20. And the road's going to be really rough this whole stretch. And yeah, you can't go real fast. It's not that way. At times I'll be probably going 20 miles an hour for very long stretches just to try to manage significant bumps. Okay, check in again later. Okay, get our first view of Alaska. This is the mountain range that is on the border between the Yukon and Alaska. So we're getting close to Beaver Creek, which is on the Yukon side of the border. Across 105 miles to Tok, T-O-K. That's in Alaska. Planning on spending the night there and then finishing the drive to Anchorage tomorrow. Pick up Tony, and then we'll head off to Boulder. Okay. It's getting worse. A lot more gravel sections that are just the washboard messes right now. Still progressing towards Beaver Creek. At least the road is getting worse. Had some pretty nasty bumps. Been averaging about 40 past half hour. Slow as 25 at times. Might get up to 45 or 50 for stretches where I can see the road well in front of me. By and large, the road is pretty beat up. Just hoping the truck and boat trailer and everything just holds up, gets me through this. Currently 42 miles from the border. Still plugging along at a pretty slow pace, but moving forward nonetheless, which is good. Also still following that mountain range that runs between the Yukon and Alaska. You can see it over here to the left. It's a desolate territory between here and there. A lot of spruce, a lot of swamp, some lakes. Okay, in Beaver Creek, almost to the border, just within a mile here of the Canadian side, and then I gotta go that 18 to 20 miles to the US side. Things are still holding up, but we got a lot of slush and mud to deal with. Okay, in Alaska, made it through. Yikes! Made it through border. Now I'm trying to get to Tok, T-O-K. I spend the night there, and I'll get up early and head to Anchorage. The sun's just starting to get low in the horizon. It's approaching the horizon, I should say. Oh, there's something. Wow, my God. Okay, it's about 7 a.m. About 10 miles out of Tok. Chilly morning, 11 degrees. And got 325 miles to go to Anchorage, where I'll pick up Tony. And then we'll head to Homer. So I ended up seeing one moose last night after those caribou, but it was pretty dark, so I wasn't able to get footage of it. Plenty of snow on the ground here still. I would say a couple feet out in the woods. So I'm going to keep plugging along. The front bracket on the boat trailer is still broken. Boat seems to be riding in a decent spot, so I'm just going to let that roll for now. Get that fixed up in Homer. About 2.5 hours outside of Anchorage. It's been snowing pretty steady. It's been about higher elevations right now, so that's likely reason. A lot of snowmobile traffic, which is cool. Slowing me down a bit, but still hoping to be in acres by 1 o'clock as I work my way through this winter wonderland. This trailer finally got the best of me. The bow of the boat came off that front stanchion where the bracket had broken. There's like a Y that held the bow of the boat, and it sat on this stanchion right here. That sticks up. The Y went out from there. It catches the bow of the boat. Well, it broke, and I had a pad up there, and it was on the pad, and then it slid off the side of that. So the bow of the boat was basically over on this side, falling down. I could see that when I was driving, just based on the gap between the boat and the driver's side fender. So I took my jack. I jacked the boat up because I couldn't lift it and push it over. Jacked the boat up. Got this piece cleared out. The other piece fell off somewhere between Tok and Glen Allen. I got that piece off. Then I had to push it over. I didn't really have a great option. I couldn't do it myself, so I took a ratchet strap to the eye on the bow. Don't tell the state of Alaska. Then I swung it over to the base of this sign. And then I ratchet strapped it over and centered it. And now I'm going to take the jack and lower it down onto the pad. And then I'm going to strap it down really hard from there. So I'll get a shot of the finished product here in a minute. Okay. I got the strap off the sign. Okay. Maybe ain't that stressed. Okay, I got the pad on the upright. I got the pad secured with 2 ratchet straps. I've got another ratchet strap up here, keeping the boat from bouncing and letting it slide over again. The sign, still in good shape, no harm. So I take off. I'm 32 miles from Anchorage, and there I'll get Tony, and all of this willing, we'll head to Homer. Okay, made it to Anchorage finally. I got Tony. He was at the grocery store parking lot. He spent an extra hour and a half there with the groceries while I worked on the old repair. I'm gonna get some fuel at the station right now and head out of Anchorage towards Homer. It's about a 200-mile drive. It's very scenic, very beautiful drive. There's Tony. Oh, he's over there. Hey, Tony. So that's not all the damage. We lost a light here. This was on the Alaskan Highway. Somewhere between the border and Tok. Come back here. That light survived, but the light over here did not survive. It was dangling. I just wedged it back in there, but it doesn't work, so now the light stopped working. Great. The other crazy thing is, I'll take you under the truck here. I had those, see it in there. I'll put an arrow on the video, but I put these airbags on, and the brackets for the airbags on both sides collapsed, so the airbags basically lost the battle to the Alaskan Highway. Okay, we finally made it to Homer. We are at Baycrest, the top of the hill. We've got 4 miles to go, and we will be in town. So, long journey, over 4,000 miles, 9 days, and a few parts and pieces that didn't make it the whole way. Although this road trip from the lower 48 to Alaska may seem like a bust to some folks, I actually consider it a victory. Considering my last 3 trips resulted in the complete loss of 2 trucks and the replacement of trailer leaf springs on the side of the road in a remote part of the Yukon, this was a piece of cake. My advice to most folks who are considering this drive, book a flight. For those of you who still want to embrace the full Alcan or Alaskan Highway experience, rent a truck or SUV and purchase the extra insurance.